In Vinland Saga, the villain doesn't always wear black. Sometimes he wears a crown, sometimes a smile, and sometimes he raises you like a son. You think you know who the bad guys are, the liars, the murderers, the backstabbers, but what if they were right? What if the guy who ruined everything was the only one holding it together? In Vinland Saga, villains don't twirl mustaches, they teach life lessons. They die for honor. They mess you up, but somehow it's for your own good. Yeah, it's that kind of show. So today, we're flipping the script. We're looking at the so-called monsters and asking the uncomfortable question. If you lived in their world, would you be any different? Okay, let's start with the guy who's basically a walking contradiction, Askeladd. This man straight up murked Thorfinn's dad. Like, no warm-up, just, hey, nice to meet you, stab. That should make him the worst, right? The anime version of you're not my real dad. But here's where it gets weird. After killing Thor's, Askeladd kinda becomes Thorfinn's dad. Only instead of bedtime stories, he gives out trauma and Viking life tips. He trains him with fights, insults, and a look that says, I care about you, but I will never admit it. And Thorfinn, he hates him, wants to kill him, challenges him every 5 minutes like it's a full-time job. But under all that, Askeladd is making him stronger, sharper, tougher, and in the end, plot twist, Askeladd dies on purpose. He lets himself be killed to protect Wales, his mother's homeland, and to give Canute a shot at peace. He didn't die for gold or power. He died for something bigger than himself. Ever had someone in your life who pushed your buttons so hard you swore they were the villain? A coach, a parent, a grumpy uncle who always said, life's not fair, deal with it. But later, you realized they weren't trying to break you, they were trying to build you. Psychologist Jordan Peterson once said, if you're not willing to be a monster, you'll never be strong enough to protect what you love. Askeladd didn't just accept his monster, he weaponized it. He didn't ruin Thorfinn. He made him dangerous in the best way. So maybe the villain in your life isn't evil. Maybe they're just a rough draft of your strength. Messy, uncomfortable, brutally honest, but exactly what you need. Let's talk about Floki, the man who looked at Thor's, the kindest, strongest warrior alive, and went, yeah, we should definitely kill that guy. At first, Floki seems like your classic anime backstabber. Sneaky voice, shady eyes. Honestly, the man looks like he drinks betrayal for breakfast. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Floki didn't do it because he hated Thor's. He did it because he feared him. See, Thor's was once the most feared Jomsviking, a war machine, a legend. But then he dipped, left the battlefield, grew a beard, raised vegetables. To Floki, that wasn't noble. It was dangerous. A man that strong refusing to fight? That breaks the rules of the entire Viking world. In Floki's eyes, peace isn't peace. It's a threat to order. So, he had him taken out. Was it cold? Absolutely. Evil? Because when you grow up in a world built on violence, kindness can look like chaos. To Floki, Thor's wasn't just walking away. He was pulling on a loose thread that could unravel the whole cloak. Watch Floki's face when he talks about Thor's. There's no joy, there's no gloating, it's just fear. And in season 2, we see how broken this man really is. Still clinging to violence, still stuck in the old ways. He's not evolving, he's surviving. Have you ever had someone sabotage your growth? Not because they hate you, but because your growth scares them. Like when you start changing, cutting off bad habits, moving on from old friends, and suddenly they say, you've changed. Yeah, that's the point. People like Floki don't always hate you. They just fear what you represent. A new way of living that makes their old one look outdated. Floki isn't evil. He's trapped by his beliefs, by his past, by a system that told him this is the only way to survive. Some villains aren't out to destroy you. They're just trying to stop change before it swallows them. And honestly, that's still tragic. At first, Canute looks like he belongs in a Disney movie. Soft voice, golden hair, constantly praying. If this was a different anime, he'd be the love interest holding a bunny. But then, life hits. His father treats him like furniture. His bodyguard dies in front of him, and the world tells him, if you want peace, earn it with blood. And Canute listens. By season 2, the bunny is gone. He's playing 4D chess with kings, lords, and farmland. And when someone's in his way, he doesn't flinch. He just moves the piece. He goes from, I hate violence, to, oops, your dad's poisoned, my bad, and here's the wild part. He still wants peace. But now he believes the only way to get it is through control, through sacrifice, through doing what the good guys won't. He looks calm, but this man is haunted. His transformation starts with Ragnar's death. That's when Canute realizes love won't save him. He needs power, and he grabs it like a man possessed. He stops being a character you root for and becomes one you respect and fear. Have you ever met someone who used to be soft, kind, maybe even shy, and then life broke them? Now they're cold, calculating, focused, not because they chose to be cruel, but because kindness didn't work. You only get ignored, rejected, and stepped on so many times before you start sharpening your smile into a weapon. That's Canute. He didn't become evil. He became necessary. In a world where mercy gets you killed, he made peace by becoming a quiet storm. Sometimes the ones who look like they've changed for the worse are just wearing the armor they needed all along. Because in Vinland Saga, and in real life, the road to peace is often paved with parts of your old self. Ketil doesn't look like a villain. He looks like your friend's dad who makes bad jokes and grows tomatoes. He's got a soft voice, a comfy farm, and a sword he clearly hasn't used in 20 years. But look closer. He's not kind. He's avoiding reality. He keeps slaves, but tells himself it's fine because he treats them well. He beats Arnheid, then sobs about it afterward, like that fixes anything. He brags about being a war hero, but the truth? He got his nickname, Iron Fist Ketil, from someone else's actions. The man built a whole life on lies, and when those lies start crumbling, he snaps. You watch him unravel in real time, slurring nonsense, hallucinating enemies, thinking he's still the hero in a story that's left him behind. It's not funny, it's heartbreaking. Arnheid's story is Ketil's mirror. A woman who suffers in silence. A man who pretends she doesn't. When she runs, he breaks. Because if Arnheid doesn't love him, then maybe he's not the good guy. And if he's not the good guy, who is he? Have you ever lied to yourself just to feel okay? Told yourself a job wasn't draining you? That a relationship wasn't toxic? That it's not that bad? Ketil is what happens when that lie becomes your whole identity. And when the truth shows up, it shatters you. Ketil isn't evil. He's cowardly, too scared to face the truth, too fragile to admit he's wrong. And in that weakness, he hurts everyone around him. Not all villains come with swords. Some just can't let go of the lie that they're a good person. And in the end, that might be more dangerous. What if the villain wasn't Askeladd, wasn't Floki, wasn't even Ketil or Canute? What if it was the world? Because in Vinland Saga, everyone's shaped by the same force. A brutal world where kindness gets you killed, and survival demands cruelty. Violence isn't the exception, it's the currency. Mercy is punished. Power is worshipped. Even Thorfinn, our hero, was a killer long before he was a thinker. He wasn't innocent, he was just broken in a way we could relate to. The truth is, nobody in this story starts evil. They're just doing what the world told them they had to do. And sometimes they're right. Vinland Saga doesn't give you villains. It gives you products of pain. And the most painful part, they're not that different from us. Have you ever said something cruel just to protect yourself? Shut down, lashed out, turned cold, not because you wanted to, but because you were tired, scared, cornered? Life can shape you into something unrecognizable if all you're trying to do is survive. Just like it did to them. The villain isn't always a person. Sometimes it's a system, a world, a belief that says, this is just how it is. And unless you fight that system, you become a part of it. The monsters in Vinland Saga were once just people trying to live. until the world made them choose between survival and their soul. And the scariest part, most of them chose survival. Askeladd, Floki, Canute, Ketil. They weren't wrong. They were reflections. Reflections of how far we'll go to protect ourselves, to chase peace, to avoid shame, to hold on to power in a world that does not forgive. So ask yourself this, not what would I have done, but what am I doing now? Because the real villain might not be in the story. It might be staring back at you in the mirror.